Before the first word was ever spoken, before the first star ignited the void, there was only light. An ocean of pure, unending brilliance, a consciousness that knew no division, no self, no other. It was a symphony of perfect harmony, where every note was love and every silence was peace. In this realm of eternal dawn, there was no shadow, for there was nothing to cast one. And yet, even in perfection, a seed of something new lay dormant. A thought, a whisper, an idea unlike any other. The idea of I, this single thought, born from the heart of the light, was a being of unparalleled beauty, a reflection of the infinite yet distinct, adorned with starlight and robed in nebulae. This being was the first echo, the first child of creation. It danced in the cosmic expanse, painting galaxies with its fingertips and singing worlds into existence. The universe rejoiced in its creation, for in this being, the light could finally see its own splendor. It was a celebration of existence itself. But with the birth of I, another concept was born, silently and subtly, the concept of not I. A shadow, thin as a whisper, began to form. This shadow was pride. It started as a simple admiration of its own form, its own power, its own magnificent creations. The being looked at the stars it had shaped and thought, my stars. It gazed upon the worlds it had sung and whispered, my worlds. The I grew stronger, bolder, and the harmony began to falter. A single discordant note entered the timeless symphony. The light, in its infinite wisdom and love, watched this unfold not with anger, but with a deep, sorrowful ache. It knew that to be a separate self was to experience a unique journey, but it also knew the pain of disconnection. Pride built walls of shimmering glass around the being, walls that reflected its own image back, magnified and distorted. The being became so enamored with its own reflection that it forgot the source of its light. It believed the light came from within itself, not from the infinite ocean of which it was a part. It declared, I am the light, and in that moment the first shadow was truly cast. The glass walls thickened, no longer transparent, but dark and opaque. The being, once a beacon, was now trapped within its own creation, a prison of its own making. The outside world faded, and only the echo of its own voice remained. It had become its own universe, small, cold, and desperately lonely. The great light did not strike it down. Instead, it wept, and its tears became the first rain, falling on barren worlds, carrying a memory of love. This was the first separation, the first heartbreak of the cosmos. The being, now isolated in its self-made darkness, felt a new emotion, fear. Fear of the silence, fear of the void now perceived outside its walls. To combat this fear, it sought to control, to dominate. It extended its will, not to create, but to conquer. It saw other nascent lights, other potential beings, not as family, but as rivals. The universe, once a dance of harmony, became a battlefield of competing egos, of clashing wills. From this great schism, humanity was born. Tiny sparks, fragmented memories of that original, glorious light, scattered throughout the cosmos. Each human soul, a shard of that broken mirror, carrying within it a dual legacy, the memory of the infinite light and the echo of the first pride. We are born into this story, into this cosmic drama, halfway through the second act. We wander the earth with a deep, unspoken ache in our hearts, a longing for a home we can't quite remember, but our souls can never forget. We build towers to the sky, seeking to reclaim a lost glory. We wage wars, trying to impose our will on a world that refuses to be tamed. We surround ourselves with reflections, with achievements, with possessions, hoping to fill the void left by that first separation. We are all children of that first being, wrestling with the same pride, the same fear, the same profound loneliness. We look at our brother and see a rival. We look at the world and see something to be conquered. We have forgotten that we are all notes in the same ancient symphony. But the light never abandoned its creation. It did not leave us to languish in the dark. It embedded a map back home within the very fabric of our being. This map is not made of ink or paper. It is woven from an invisible thread called faith. Faith is the quiet whisper in the heart that remembers the sun, even in the darkest night. It is the irrational, illogical, and profoundly beautiful belief that we are more than just dust and ambition. It is the hand that reaches out in the darkness, not to grasp, but to connect. Faith is not about certainty. It is the courage to live with uncertainty. It is the trust that even when we fall into grace. It is the memory of the light's tears, a promise that we are never truly alone. When we love, we are practicing faith. When we forgive, we are practicing faith. When we create art, when we show compassion, when we look up at the stars in silent wonder, we are tracing the lines of that ancient map, finding our way back. The first being, lost in its pride, eventually grew weary. The weight of its self-imposed kingdom became unbearable. The silence in its prison of ego became a deafening scream. In a moment of ultimate despair, it did the one thing it had never done before. It surrendered. It let go of its need to be the center, to be the source, to be I. It shattered its own walls of pride, not with strength, but with a single humble plea for help. A whisper sent out into the void, "I am lost." And in that instant, the light rushed in, not as a conqueror, but as a warm embrace. It filled the cracks, mended the broken pieces, and washed away the shadows. The being was not destroyed, but transformed. It was reborn. It understood, finally, that its true glory was not in being separate, but in being a unique and beloved part of the whole. It was a wave, finally remembering it was the ocean. Its light was brighter now, not with the fire of pride, but with the gentle, radiant glow of humility and love. This is the story of rebirth, a story etched into the soul of humanity. It is our story. We are all, in our own lives, that fallen being. We build our own prisons of ego, of fear, of pain. We feel lost, alone, and forgotten. We believe our darkness is permanent. But the path to redemption is always there, waiting. It is the path of surrender, of letting go, of admitting we cannot do it all alone. It is the path of faith. Humanity needs faith to survive, because without it, we are forever trapped in the prison of the self. Without it, we are just echoes in a dark room, shouting at our own reflections. Faith is the key that unlocks the door. It is the bridge across the chasm of our separation. It is the light that guides us out of the labyrinth of our own minds and back into the symphony of existence. Look around you. Every act of kindness, every gesture of love, every moment of shared laughter is a rebellion against the shadow of pride. It is a declaration that we choose connection over isolation. Even the fallen can rise again, for the light is never truly lost. It is patiently waiting within us and around us for the moment we choose to open our eyes and see. The story is not over. Our journey back to the light has just begun, and the universe watches with bated breath and infinite love, hoping we will find our way home.